What's up, Buttercups? Um, Today, let's talk about something that's definitely on my mind. I've been watching this show called When We Rise, and the gist of it is the LGBTQ movement and how it started, and the beginning of AIDS and how it was perceived, and all of that stuff. And I just literally had to stop and share something with you guys. I had to write it down, so sorry if I'm looking down and away from you all. But it said, I want someone to tell me what's it like to be a part of the first generation in the US to have no purpose. And what are you going to do about it? That's insane to me. It's insane to think about all the things that have happened. It's insane to think about the fact that literally yesterday I was listening to the radio and I heard about the bombing that happened in London in the Ariana Grande concert. And at the time when I checked, there was 19 confirmed, um, people that had passed, unfortunately, due to the incident. And when I checked this morning, it was 22, and it's up to I think 55 injured that they know of. Um, and then I compare it to the news story that was going viral yesterday in the U.S. A young woman that went on her bachelorette party and did some indecent things with the male person, dancer, I don't know, whoever was brought to her party. And it's like, really? That's what we care about? Why? Like a friend told me, why do we even know this information? Why do we even care? What purpose does that serve any of us? Is it seriously at the point in the US that we care more about what new color highlight is out there than what highlights happen in the newsreel? I don't know if you're like me, but I grew up with a set of standards that I had to live by and oblige by, and certain things that were on my criteria of how I should represent myself. Now, I do understand that we're in an era where we're a lot more accepting, where we're in an era that we're a lot more understanding of people. Um, but have we just given up? Do we not realize that we have a long way to go? I had someone very close to me not that long ago go through one of the most traumatic things that I think a person should ever have to go through. And I was recently reminded of it because I saw some documents that had to do with that incident. Now, without getting into too much detail, I'll let you know that this person is very dear to my heart and this person is very important in my life. So, when someone else in the world decides to hurt this person, it is my first instinct to just claws out. To realize that now, over a year later, I'm sitting in a position where nothing was really done about it, nothing really changed, except for that person's inner fight to get past that struggle and not only survive, but conquer what they were going through. We'll call that person Ladybug. So my Ladybug decided that, you know what? I messed up. I am going through a bad time. I was hurt, but I'm going to fight. I'm going to make sure that no matter what happens, no matter who I meet, and no matter what comes my way, I'm going to be at the head of the game. I'm going to be the front runner. I'm going to determine whether I succeed or fail. And that to me is more important than anything else. Because we'll call the person that hurt her caca face. And caca face is out and about in the world as if nothing happened. So, how is it that we can sit here and fight for Kanye, who I admire as an artist and have nothing against, and how he needed help and he went into rehab and what's going on with him, but yet nothing is being done about the very bad people that take advantage of others, that take advantage of women and children and steal. And not just steal because they took a toothbrush or because they, I don't know, needed an apple, reference to Aladdin, I don't know. But literally steal. And I mean steal people's smiles, steal people's thoughts, and make them a lesser person just by being a part of their lives. Kaka Face is one of those people. Kaka Face stole more than just a smile. He stole dreams and ambitions and pieces of someone's soul, because there's just no other way to say it. So to see Kaka Face roaming around, needless to say, upsets me. As I'm watching this show and as I'm contemplating on things that have happened in my life, I can't help but wonder if we truly think that we're doing the best that we can. If we really think that we are getting anywhere. I see people like one of my YouTube, um, you know, amaze balls. I don't know, probably the wrong word to use, but hey, whatever. Um, I see Superwoman going overseas and she's helping people and she's figuring out how to do the best she can. Someone who's not technically famous in the sense that she's an actress or, um, is at the billboards receiving millions of awards and $1 billion and has a jet plane for her service. It's someone who decided one day, just like any of us, that she was tired of the way that her life was going and she needed to do something different. Whatever different was. And she found something that made her happy and went with it. And instead of just living in her happy moment, she's figuring out ways to give back. I see YouTube prankers or maybe real incidents, because it's hard to tell nowadays, that go out and give something to, let's say, a homeless person, and then pretend to send someone else that is homeless as well to sit next to them, and that homeless person will give up that $100 that they just got, or that blanket, or half of that sandwich. And yet we sit here in our the privileged selves and decide that if we are happy, we should stay happy, and we're gonna fight for our happy. And well, if you're not happy, you should find happy. But are doing nothing to understand that we are in this together. We are working together, or at least we're supposed to be. What makes us so passive now that it's almost like everything is okay? Trust me, I'm all for equal rights. I'm all for fighting for everyone to be equal. But sometimes that fight is more than just talk. That fight has to be more than just a thought. That fight has to be more than just pretty pictures and stickers and colors. That parade was more than just about dressing up, showing your boobs, and walking out into Christopher Street. It was about making people come together. And I'm not trying to make this an exclusively LGBTQ type of rant. This is about anybody. This is about whether you're from a different color, whether you speak a different language, whether you love a different person. I don't believe that when we were created, however we were created, whether you believe scientific or religion or otherwise, that our purpose here was simply to just live till we died. I can't, I can't believe that that's the case, because I've lost people that are way too close to me and been close to losing people that are way too close to me to sit here and honestly think that that's our purpose in life. To sit here and think that our purpose is just to live and breathe and eat and die. No. Our purpose is to help others. And our purpose is to help ourselves. Because if you're like me, then you're someone that believes that you have to help other people. You have to understand other people. You have to be patient of other people. And then what about ourselves? What about being patient with yourself? What about giving props to yourself? What about being loving to yourself? It's not just a one-way street, even with ourselves. You can't just give to other people and not take back. You can't just stand for something and not actually work for it. So, what does it feel like to be part of the generation that doesn't stand for anything except for what Twitter feed is out there? No, we're not fighting for anything. We like to make ourselves believe that we are, but we're not. We're not sitting there actually going out to high schools and mentoring those kids that are just as lost as we were when we were in high school. We're not going into elementary schools and helping them get the books that we got. We're not going into parks and painting positive thoughts on the walls and the murals. We're not cleaning up after ourselves. Yes, we're better now than we were before in a lot of instances, but we're still not doing anything. We're basically just walking the same road of the people that paved it before us. What have you done? When was the last time you gave back? When was the last time you thought of something that meant so much to you that you were willing to go against those you love most? That you were willing to go against that person that you admired? That you were willing to fight for those who didn't have a voice? When was the last time that you woke up and said, today I'm off from work and any type of actual responsibility, and instead of actually just saying to hell with it, let me go have a beer, or let me just watch some TV or play some video games, you actually got out there and saw how our parks are and how there's very rarely any green anymore. Try to water some plants. Try to plant some flowers of your own. When was the last time you even took a lap around your city and just saw all the things that we're privileged to have? When was the last time that you actually participated in a march, in an event, in any effort of community service or any type of activity at all, and it was because you weren't forced to be there, or you weren't gonna post about being there, or you weren't going to get some sort of recognition for being there, but you just did it because it was the right thing to do? It's insane. It really is. And then we want to sit here and bash people because of a commercial that came out. Because Pepsi decided that putting a parade about love and unity and X, Y, and Z wasn't enough. Well, what are you doing that's enough? I'm not saying that the commercial's right or it's wrong. I'm just saying you sitting behind a computer or on your phone bashing it doesn't make a difference. You want to sit there and show Pepsi what a real parade looks like? Then make one. Petition for one. Go find out all the struggles that people had to go through when they were actually fighting for their rights. When they were actually fighting to create a world that they were proud to live in. You're not proud of the commercials that are out there? You don't think that Shea Moisture used enough of the girls that you wanted? You don't think anything? Then don't talk about it. Do something. Because we're part of the generation that thinks that posting pictures and memes are what make a difference. That we got the president that we didn't want it, so we decided to go out into the streets and then what? This shouldn't be something that happens once. It should be something that happens every day. We shouldn't just be breathing. We should be living. And we shouldn't just be talking. We should be fighting. And I don't mean violence. I mean fighting for what you believe in. I mean fighting to get out of bed and make a difference. I mean fighting to connect with someone. Do you know how many of my acquaintances, friends, people that I know, family members only know how to communicate through text? Only know how to communicate through a computer? I'm sorry, but I'm not fighting for the rights of my laptop. I'm not fighting for the rights of an Xbox. I'm fighting for the rights of my ladybug. I'm fighting for the rights of all those that I care about. So that people like Caca Face can get what they deserve, can be looked at as the leopard that they are. Not someone with AIDS, not someone that's sick, not someone that has mental challenges, not someone that needs patience and compassion, not someone with autism, not someone with a mental deficiency, not someone with any type of however you want to categorize it. How you categorize it is not the important part. What you do about it and how open you are and how helpful you are is what makes the difference. Not how much you make fun of it or not how much you say you care about it in your pictures. Yeah, posting online is great. Yeah, getting feedback is great. Talking is great. Sharing is great. Pictures are great. But what makes something extraordinary? You can't, there's no, if you're worried about fitting in the box, because at this point, being an outsider is the in thing to do. Oh yeah, totes, I'm totally different. You're just like everybody else that came before you that stood by and let things happen. Instead of tweeting and Instagramming and Facebooking and texting and Tindering and any type of else, why don't you actually go and try to make a friend? Why don't you actually go and try to have a conversation? Why don't you go and rise up? Make sure that this world that you're living in and that your future kids will live in, if you have any, is actually a world that you're proud of. Stop blaming our parents and grandparents for having raised us the way that they raised us and start figuring out how you want to live your life, because there's only so long you can play a blame game without figuring out that you're to blame as well. We're not a generation that does anything, not anything productive. We just follow in the steps of the people that were bold and brave enough to fight before us. I'm not worried about having the most cookie cutter image or wearing perfect makeup or fixing my hair 100% of the time. Do I think it's great? Yeah. Do I do it? Of course. Do I enjoy the process? Why not? That doesn't mean that my entire life should revolve around it. And if my life does revolve around it, then I should be able to find the positives that that could lead. How we can use makeup as a positive thing rather than a negative. It's not that I'm not pretty enough, it's just that I like to enhance things just like a work of art, because to me I'm a masterpiece that every once in a while could use a touch up. Whatever it is, don't just let it be words, let it be actual actions. If you want to fight for LGBTQ rights, then actually fight for it. Don't just go to the bars, don't just have drinks, don't just enjoy the parade, don't just walk around with your boobs out wearing a flag. Understand why that flag was made. Understand the unity that it took to make that happen. And if you want to fight for domestic violence, then make sure that you don't become an abusive person. Make sure that you know how to talk to people. Make sure that if you do have anger issues, you get the help you need. Because we all get angry. We all have problems. And I am no angel. I am no saint. But I'll make sure that I don't ever treat anybody the way that my ladybug was treated. I want to make sure that if my future son or daughter is anywhere on the queer spectrum, that they know that they live in a world that's gonna not just accept them because they're there, but actually root for them to succeed. I don't think that if you're different, you should strive to just be part of the crowd. You shouldn't strive to blend in. You're different for a reason. Otherwise, we'd all look, sound, and think the same. And we don't. And if you're one of those people that thinks that normal is something you can actually define, then by all means, please let me know what normal is. Because in my over 20 years of existence, I have no idea what normal is. Nothing that people tell me is normal actually ends up being that way. Nothing that people tell me is how it should be ends up being that way. We're all trying to figure it out. So stop telling people that what they're doing is wrong if you don't know how to do it either. Just figure out how to work together to make it happen. Because we may not have the perfect world, but we've destroyed a heck of a lot of it. Giving back is about more than just posting about global warming and posting about what's happening. It's about recognizing that we need each other. No matter where you come from, no matter what you look like, no matter who you love, no matter how different you are. And there's going to be people out there that say, okay, well, what about the pedophiles? And what about the this? And what about the that? If you think that that's part of the argument, then I'm sorry. I feel sorry for you. This is one of my rants. This is Tuesday Talk About It. This is airing it out and making sure that nothing is left unsaid. And this is trying to see how we became a generation that says we care so much and yet does so little. How do we have some of the best resources at our fingertips and are so incapable of putting them to good use? We say we're tired after a 9 to 5 day of work, and we don't even know what tired really looks like. It sucks. It sucks to know that the people that came before us fought so hard for us to have better than they did, and all we do is take it for granted. Because to us, walking the path that they made for us is enough. Continuing their legacy is enough. What's the legacy we're leaving behind for the people that come after us? I don't know about you, but I'm tired of being part of the generation that just doesn't do anything. I'd like to see a change. I'd like to see something else out there. I'd like to see so many things. But I'm also guilty of not doing enough. And I feel like the older I get, the more it becomes clear to me that all the stuff that we think is important, we created it. Leggings didn't exist till we made them. Highlighting wasn't a thing and contouring wasn't important until we made it important. And if we have the power to make something as silly as matte lipstick important, then can you think of all the good that we could actually do if we really thought about things? If we really worked for things? If a video about a woman doing stuff she wasn't supposed to do on her bachelorette party can go viral within hours and the whole world knows about it, how is it that we can't figure out a way to actually send out the news and the information that's really important? What it really feels like to grow up in New York. What it really feels like to have someone that you love taken away from you in any sense of the word. Whether it was violently, whether it was peacefully, whether it was by an illness, whether it was by incarceration, I don't know. The point is not to be everywhere at once, but the point is to stand for something. Because when I was really young, I grew up with the phrase, you need to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. And honestly, we believe so much of what we tell ourselves that we forget to realize that what we're telling ourselves isn't necessarily what we should be hearing. So why not make every day important? Why not figure out how to truly be happy with ourselves? Because I'm sorry, but I think it's nearly impossible. It's seriously, truly, in my mind, impossible to genuinely be happy if you're just focused on things. If you're just focused on, I don't know, the mask that we put on in order to make ourselves look better than what we truly are. It's okay to tell yourself that you suck. You don't have to give yourself false positivity all the time. It's okay to not be at your best. How you bounce back is the important part. What lesson are you going to teach your little sister or little cousin or future child? I don't want to sit there and say, Mommy did everything right. I want to sit there and say, listen, I understand that you effed up. And I get that you effed up. And even though your situation is different than mine, I effed up too. I had to figure it out. I had to put it together. But we're not in this alone. We try to connect, but the only times that we connect is through virtual reality. Very few people know what it's like to talk to each other. Very few people know what it's like to actually build a bond anymore. And I get that that's counterproductive because I'm doing this through a video that's going online, which sounds like it defeats the purpose. But if this is how we talk to each other, then I at least want to make sure that what I say is something that I would like to say to people in person and just don't get the chance because nobody listens anymore. You hear words. Everybody hears everything. We hear music. But listening, that's a different story. And for some reason, a lot of people only listen like this. So if this is how you're going to listen to the things that I have to say, I'm happy to play along. Just know that it's so much better to be able to use our voices for positive than it is for relevance. Okay, so shaking your booty makes you relevant. I like to shake my butt too. It doesn't mean that's what I have to do to become important. And if it is what I have to do to become important, then again, we're a sad effing generation. We need serious help. And maybe talking to those people that fought so hard to give us our rights is exactly what we should be doing. Maybe going back to those books, hard paper, flipping through pages type of books, maybe that's what we need to be doing. Not because we have to, not because school tells us to, but because we need to figure out where in history we went wrong so we could try to help our kids be better than we were. Because, no offense, guys, but our generation sucks. I don't know if we're ever going to get back on track, but I know that I'd rather talk about things that mean something rather than things that sound cool or funny or pretty or funny looking or funny acting or funny anything. Yeah, it's all fun and games. I love to laugh. Trust me, I like to make people laugh. But I also know that it's just as important to understand that some people are sad, that some people are angry. And instead of trying to push that away, we should be trying to figure out if their anger is the same as ours and how we can fix that. We shouldn't rise when it's too late. We shouldn't have even gotten to the place that we are right now. But now that we're here, I hope we could stop being part of the generation that doesn't do anything. I hope we can follow in the footsteps of the generation that worked hard to get us where we are right now. Nothing comes easy. And that's the truest thing that you'll ever learn. People think they can graduate and go straight into the job that they want. No, you have to know, because even if you do get that job, you won't know what customer service looks like. You won't know what talking to people looks like. You won't know what figuring things out looks like because you need the experience. Our parents knew that. Our parents knew what it was like to put in hard work. Where we decided that we could just kind of throw the towel and follow in their footsteps and coast along, I don't know. That's my rant. I literally fight every day with myself and my demons and my own kind of inhibitions to make sure that whatever I do, I'm proud of. Because I spent the majority of my childhood making sure that I followed the rules. And then the majority of my teenage years figuring out how to break them. Well, I don't want to do either. I want to figure out what my limits are physically, mentally, in my heart and soul, how I can take what I've learned, how I can take what others have done for me, and put it out there in the most helpful way. It may not always be pretty. Sometimes we don't really like the truth. I know I don't. I don't like to be criticized. But the best thing that you can do is accept that criticism, in, internalize it, figure out if it applies, and then work your way from that. And if you don't like the way others are seeing you, or you don't like the way, then stop tweeting about it. Stop posting about it. Do something about it. Talk about it. Yes. I understand that I'm saying that talking is not enough, but we might as well at least start somewhere and start doing stuff. Don't go and march in something just because you're going to take pictures with your friends. Go and march in something because you know the history behind it. Go figure out all the iconic places all around New York that made us one of the leaders in change. And then backtrack again and figure out why we're not that, why we don't do that anymore, why we're not that type of person anymore. If you're not somebody that kind of has bad days, that's great for you. And if you're someone that has only bad days, I won't say I'm sorry, because that truly irks me. But I just hope you understand that it does get better, and there are people out there that do care about you. Stop standing still. Stop texting. Stop clicking fast forward on your life. Fight for what you care about, and fight every day. Mwah. I adore you guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I promise to be funnier next time, but this time I had to get real.